It's a bird. It's a plane.
This is Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action.
This is Mark Wade, writer of Superman Birthright.
And you're listening to the Krypton Report.
Welcome to the Krypton Report, the All Things Kryptonian podcast, where we talk about anything relating to Superman, Supergirl, Krypton, DC Comics, and TV, movies, video games, comics. I am your host, Tyler, the Superman of Blue, the Man of Tomorrow. On today's episode, James and I are back. Ohio is still getting cooler, but it's nice because it's fall. And we're talking Supergirl. So, welcome back,
Almost
James.
fall.
Yeah, almost fall.
Almost fall. September.
So this episode is cool. We're talking about Supergirl Dreamweaver. And it was a little, it bummed me out a little bit that the Dreamweaver song didn't drop at any time. Not even with a hint of it.
Yeah, how can you name an episode that and not use the song?
And I just think about Wayne's World.
Oh, always.
When I hear that song, that's what I think about. Is when he's just like.
Same thing with Foxy Lady and Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh man, that's true. Bohemian Rhapsody had almost become a forgotten song, and that movie scene helped bring it back into like the zeitgeist, which is awesome. I also want to say, like, I had the awesome pleasure of being on Supergirl Radio and talking about this with Rebecca and filling in for her host, and it was a blast. And we did check it out on Supergirl Radio podcast. You can also watch it on YouTube and see the episode. It was a good time.
Yeah, I wanna check that out. I got it in my queue.
So we'll kind of go through this kind of beat by beat with characters and stuff, but Mia's like in this weird dream world that we'd never really seen before, and she's seeing, it looks like her mom in white with an owl, and then as soon as like she sees her mom with the owl, boom, Nyxly shows up. And Nyxly's talking about how she's stuck in this dream world realm, whatever, and needs Nia's help to escape. And, this whole episode, Nia's not sleeping. Andrea sends her home on a mental health day, which that'd be awesome if I had a job where they'd send me home for a mental health day.
Right.
And so Nia, basically the entire episode's like at home sleeping. And trying to go into her dreams and having, the visions of Nyxly and everything. So I say all that because I kind of feel, I don't think Nyxly is trapped in any dream world. I kind of feel like, because she's a fifth dimensional imp, that she's able to, when she senses Nia go into the dream, she's like popping in. That's why it's so abrupt when she appears right when Nia's trying to see her mom.
Yeah, I mean, I think she's manipulating her in some way. I mean, perhaps, her explanation of getting trapped there on the way out of the Phantom Zone, and her powers being depleted the way they are, she needs Nia's help to get her out of the dream realm because she got stuck there. I mean, I guess it seemed to make some sort of sense. I mean, we're talking about dreams and but they did have a conversation about, only whatever her race is, I can't remember her race now, is able to enter the dream realm physically. And she's like, well, I'm a fifth dimensional imp, which calls up some red flags for Nia.
Yeah, she already like, oh, an imp.
Yeah.
They can't be trusted. I'm like, oh, well, I'm so awesome that you know about fifth dimensions. Imps. Because once again, I don't know if they've had Mixie post-crisis yet, but whatever. I think so.
Well,
think-
didn't we have that guy?
Yes, Tom, the good Mixie. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. He
Yeah.
showed up post race. You're right.
Yep.
My
and
brain's
he's supposed to
realigned.
be back
Yep, he is
this
And he-
season.
to me, he works as Mixie. As like he's exactly the kind of new age Mixie that you want.
Yeah. Speaking of Mixie, I was watching some Justice League action the other day, and
me too, man. Me too.
they got Gilbert Godfrey back to do the voice of Mixie.
That made my skin crawl.
But he fits so well for the animated Mixie.
Oh, he does. Oh, he does.
Like, his voice can be nails on a chalkboard, but I mean, he's completely unique, and his voice is perfect for a freaking cartoon imp. Can do anything.
This is true. I mean, that's 100% true. So,
But yeah, Nixley says, if you help me get out of here, that bringing something out of the dream is a power that they have. And Nia's, that's against universal law. I don't know where this universal law comes from, but I mean, it must be something unique to their race because of their ability to enter and exit dreams and stuff.
mm-hmm.
But universal law that she's not supposed to dream anybody into reality, and Nixley is not supposed to bring anybody back from the dead. She's saying that she can bring her mother back from the dead for a
24
day.
hours.
For 24 hours.
All it made me think of is like, Mia looks like, where can one learn this power? Is it possible to learn this power? And then Nix is like, not from a Jedi. So that's
And
all
when
I
I
could
thought
think
about when I usually think about you can't bring somebody back from the dead, I always go back to Aladdin.
I don't
can't
like doing
bring-
it. It's
I don't like doing it. It's not pretty.
So that's kind of her story. It's very self-contained, very away from everyone. So it kind of got her up, and it's kind of weird because like she's like the C plot of the episode, if you will. And
But it starts and it ends with her.
yeah,
Um,
it ends where she keeps seeing this owl that's supposed to be like the voice of truth and reason, and then she uses her dream power to blast the owl away.
which is pretty crazy, because
I don't feel like I feel like it would have made more sense if like Nixley was haunting her dreams this episode, and then like the next episode she basically wears her down enough to get her to be like
Right.
come to the dark side.
Yeah. Well, like the owl attacks Nixley, and then she goes back and sees her again, and then Nia specifically says, "My mother revered owls. Owls are truth seekers.
Yeah, and then she kills the
Owls
owl.
don't act like they don't attack like that." And like, so she's like telling herself all this stuff. She's telling the audience all this stuff that the owl is telling her that she's considering doing something bad. And she's saying it to herself, she's saying it to the audience, and then she just says, well,
Yeah, basically she's like, oh,
we have a deal. Blast the owl away. We have a deal. Like, I don't know. That's a lot of that's a lot of
short
dramatic irony, isn't it?
Yeah, I never
Like-
thought that there was that moment of her like basically coming to terms like, I have to do this now.
Well, I mean, it's not out of the realm of comic characters. I mean, we got Flashpoint because Flash knew he shouldn't have gone back to change time, and yet he did. In the story Flashpoint from the comics, he's a long experienced Barry Allen who knows about time travel and things like that. In the show, he's experienced some time travel and was told, how bad it could be.
Mhm.
So the idea that we've had that Flashpoint being sooner in his career makes more sense because he's less experienced. But does that slip in judgment later on in his career where you actually do something like that, like Nia's doing right here? Like, does that slip up? Just make the character more human. They make a bad decision even though they know it's wrong.
You are correct.
You know what I mean? What's the right way to tell the story? I mean, you can tell the story either way.
That's why I keep you around. Just so you know.
Oh, okay.
This is why
Well, at least I'm useful for something.
This is why we keep James around. So, good job, James.
Thank you, Tyler.
So that's Nia, and let's move on here. So we'll jump over to Catco now, and this is what got a lot of people talking was Catco media outlet for what? Because in here, Andrea is even more going crazy about we need to interview the Super Friends. Give me the Super Friends, James. Give me the Super Friends.
I do love that they use Super Friends.
I'm like, that's the best you come up with, but okay.
It's very classic. I
mean,
mean,
I
it
wonder
worked.
if they can't say like, just when they had the whole Crisis event, and they kind of used the Super Friends music and stuff. Like, if they weren't able to actually say like Justice League or anything like that, so they're the Super Friends. Like, not even we could be the Junior Lifeguard Association or the
the Super 7.
The Super 7. Or we could start a league or something.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it was really cool the way they did the Super Friends tease later on, and I don't know what the deal is with Justice League, because we got the Hall of Justice, but then it was Super Friends.
But she doesn't know about the Hall of Justice.
No, but I just like how the Super Friends is kind of like, this is our media go-to. They're Supergirl's friends, so they're Super Friends.
Speaking of the Super Friends, I just got to see the Superboy and the Supergirl. Hey, Solomon and Sayla.
Yep, my Supergirl just popped her head in here and told me good morning.
See, they're all over the place. They're flying around, kids buzzing. Yeah. So, because what got me about Catco in this episode, okay, and this is I can't remember what Elcor opened or owned and what Andrea took over with Catco, what all Catco's doing there, because originally they were Catco Magazine, and now they're doing other stuff. Like, do you work for Catco as a multimedia conglomerate? Like, do they have newspaper outlets that they work with? Do they publish newspapers too? They have TV and live stream or something also. Do you work for Catco? You do whatever they tell you to? Because she tells William that if you don't get this interview, you're going to be reading classifieds and obits. And I'm like,
yeah, which is newspaper.
I'm like, really? Like, Andrea's always threatening people with their jobs. Like, she wants to fire everybody. Like, I'd be like, oh, I'm transferring out of here.
Yeah.
I'll get a job somewhere else. But
like if my job is on the line every moment of every day, then that's not job security.
That's job stress.
Yeah. I mean, come to find out, that was a pretty good, like, she's pushing the Super Friends, pushing. And, they, damn it, now I'm blanking on who they were going. Oh yeah, the robberies. That's what they're investigating. And I like how Kara was able to fulfill Andrea's request of getting an interview with the Super Friends while bringing to light these bad people and the bad things that they've done.
Mm-hmm. So we have this at the beginning, her and Jean out doing stuff together, which is nice. Still kind of weird that, Jean Jones chooses to look like Hank Henshaw when it no longer serves a purpose because the DEO is done and everyone knows that he's not Hank Henshaw, but maybe whatever. Are investigating and they find the items that were being robbed, and what I liked about that was when there was like the invisible goo, like goo that was on stuff that turned it invisible. I was like, that could be helpful.
Right.
And then that plot ties into kind of the B plot, A plot, I guess they're back and forth about Kelly, who's now a social worker, which is kind of but the plots are switching back and forth because we find out that Kelly, who's now a social worker, which is very interesting, kind of like how do you just go from, you know what, I'm a clinical psychologist with tech, to I'm going to work as a social worker. It's not that easy. There's a lot of red tape and job changing. She has to, do state testing, licensing and all that stuff that takes time, and you can't just hop, skip, and jump. And so she invests a home where it's a group home run by a lady who has a bunch of kids who are all alien, and they're wearing power dampeners. And one of the children, his brother Orlando, is in prison, and he just recently saw him, and he looked sick. And that's what happens when he uses his powers on too much. And he's supposed to be in some sort of work program. Anyways, so that's kind of what leads Kara to go and investigate. Because she wrote a big article about this work program, which, happened, I guess, in the post-crisis recalibration. And then the warden of, Kroll Institute? Kroll Prison? Does that ring any bells from your comics?
I've heard the name before, but I've heard it in different contexts. I know I've heard it in like barbarian comics and stories as well as Alien, so it's hard to place which this would be. I don't have any direct reference to Superman and Supergirl in the name Kroll that I can think of.
Yeah, see, that was kind of where I was. But yeah, the warden's the biggest idiot on the planet. He's basically, we find out, cut to the chase, that they're using these group of prisoners who are going to this work program, where they're secretly taking them and using them to steal stuff because they're going to build a dirty nuke. And who are they working for, James? Who?
The warden of the prison.
And who's the warden working for?
You know what? That might have been something I missed. I was extremely tired last night while I was watching this.
Bruno Mannheim.
Oh yeah, Inner Gang. I did forget that detail. Yes, I remember it now, but yes, I did forget that detail.
And that was, Inner Gang's one that we've talked about before, like that. Why hasn't this really come up? So yeah.
Well, maybe if we're lucky, they'll introduce Intergang into Supergirl. It'll transfer into Superman, and we'll get some Apocalyptans in a season or two.
It could be cool. We're at that point where this is, this is the final season of Supergirl. It's like no holds bar, just go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's the biggest threat that Kryptonians can face? It's basically connections to Apocalypse.
Dark side shall be mine. It's my Dark Side impression. Sorry, Ray Porter. I suck. I just, yeah. You all know Sailor loves Dark Side.
Yeah, sir. I got my armored Dark Side.
Yeah.
My gold series.
James got the armored Dark Side figure. I got the unarmored Dark Side figure. So you know what that tells us? James likes to wear a shirt, and Tyler's figures like to wear around without shirts.
Well, that armored one is staying in the box for now, at least for a while, but it might stay there. When
if I get the armored one, it'll stay in the box.
Yeah, when I get the unarmored one, the Uxus, the history lesson version, I'll get that one out and set it on the shelf.
My kids, I still have stuff boxed. They're like, Daddy, are you gonna unbox that? No. Why not, Daddy? I don't want to.
There's some that can just stay.
Let my Clark Kent Smallville pop figure. They're like, are we gonna get that out of the box, Daddy? No. So I think the biggest thing in this episode, okay, we've kind of been covering a lot, and we have the Bruno Mannheim tie into Inner Gang. With that, they eventually,
that
Kara
derailed us.
Yeah, that happens. It's okay. That's what we do here. Kara tries to get, they confront the aliens like, we know that you are being forced to do this. Come with us. We're going to let you go. And they're like, if you let us go, we're not going to come back to prison with you. And they try to fight back, but then, Kara gives one of her great speeches and everything. And the aliens surrender. And then we'll pause there because we're going to jump back to our other beat of the story. And wait, I want to go back one more. I just want to say this. Like, I like that William and Kara working together as journalists. I think I like William more that they're not making him a love interest for Kara and just a character, a fellow reporter, a friend, someone who's not on the Super Friends team. Yeah, I'm using that terminology. Okay. I think he's a much stronger character that way. And I'm still holding out that the end of this series is going to be a big plot twist where we find out that William Day actually has a genetic disorder hiding inside of him. And it's the Doomsday virus, and he turns into Doomsday, and it's Supergirl versus Doomsday in the streets of Metropolis. And it's the death of Supergirl at the end of the series.
Streets of National City?
Yes. I said Metropolis. My bad, people. My bad.
That would be pretty sweet, but
they'd be like, plot twist. Holy crap. William Day is Doomsday? Oh my God.
Right. Like, we should have seen that coming.
Nothing as good as Davis Bloom equals Doom. That's my holdout. It's a tie-in. It's how they backdoor Krypton into this world. So that is fingers crossed. But I do like Kelly's storyline in this about Kelly seeing that these kids are being abused. She knows that there's video footage, security footage that goes on, and Kelly basically hacks in, and from a very believable sense, like she takes a laptop with a thumb drive outside the house, plugs into the server, downloads the video files.
I was going to say, it was so nice for the server to be accessible on the outside of the house.
Hey, I'm taking that much easier than remote access hacking that everybody in the world can just, be computer hackers because it's so simple.
Right.
It's like the super shortcut, easy way to do anything on a show. I'm going to hack into this. All right, good luck. And she turns it over to the authorities, and the lady is removed from the group home. And at the end, you find out Orlando, the alien, was actually released early from the judge out of prison so he could take care of his little brother because of what the prison system was doing to him. Awesome. All good stuff. And what I liked was, Kelly befriends a little girl named Esme that the whole world now is falling in love with in the episode.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of like, oh, Kelly should adopt her. Kelly and Alex should adopt her. And we'll go down that road here in a second. But the one thing I don't like in this episode, and I might get some heat for this, is that Kelly wants to be the new Guardian. Now, one, I think Kelly's story and her reasoning makes more sense than James did. Two, there's that wonderful line about Alex saying to her about her training. Okay?
And Kelly was military.
I'll say Kelly was military. I had to think back for a little bit. But my thing is, I don't feel that everybody has to be a superhero vigilante
Yeah, to be part of the team.
to be part of the group. Like I understand wanting to, but Kelly did what she did as Kelly. And sometimes you need that person. Just like what I was saying with William not being part of the Super Friends.
Yeah. It was nice to see Kelly getting in there and doing what she did, and as you said, it does make some sense, and I was glad to get the line of remember that when your training begins.
So it'd be like me going, like, hey James, I'm gonna be it's like, that movie with Aaron Taylor Johnson where he's a superhero with Nicolas Cage. And we all know what it is. I'm just not saying it. Where he goes and he's like tries to fight and he gets his butt whipped.
Yeah.
Or they're talking about it like, you know why there's no real Spider-Man? Because they get their butt whipped in like 8 seconds, man. So the idea that if I was like, James, I'm gonna go out and fight crime. James, I'm in the hospital, man. Come get me. Don't coach Nia. But so I mean, I just you don't have to. Everyone doesn't have to be. Now, if the episode was something where like they had James's old stuff and there was like this scene where they're being attacked, like alien invasion type thing, and people are fighting on the street, and Kelly just grabs it and goes out there to fight, that would make sense. That kind of in the moment action and protection or whatever. But I just feel like we don't need her to be Guardian. Like that's not something that has to happen. She can just be Kelly. All right. So that's my piece.
I think she could be. I mean, they planted a seed, her saving people during crisis.
Right, which that completely caused. That was a cause. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't think she
needed to step up to become.
Right. She needs to. I think it would be. I don't know.
Guardian
in the system, fighting for the system. She could be in the system fighting. So there's a lot of chatter. Chatter like baseball chatter or little squirrels chattering, and about Kelly and Alex adopting Esme, and I'm like, that's cool, and I like that idea, and I hope that happens. But in a way, I proposed this, and there was a little pushback, but that's cool. Whatever, everyone's got their opinion. Was the idea that Kelly and Alex would take over the group home, and the idea being that maybe after the events of however this unfolds and Kara leaves, like Alex lays down the superhero mantle type thing and takes on a new life and gets what she wants of being a mother. I mean, that was a huge part of season 3, wasn't it? When with Maggie, it was season 3.
Yeah.
Of why they split up was because she wanted to be a mom, and that wasn't going to happen. And I had someone posted, and like I said, their respect was, oh, so she goes from be a superhero TEO agent to housewife, and I'm like, no, like that's not the concept. The concept is the character longs and wanted to be a mom. And to me, like, there's no nobler or greater call than raising the next generation, especially orphan kids who everyone's given up on, who nobody wants, who feel alone and lost in the world. And part of Alex's journey has always been a protector. She's been watching over Kara and helping her. So the idea of Alex as a person raising alien children that have been rejected makes complete sense to me. And as much as she would want to like adopt Esme, but basically deciding to care for all of these kids, it's just, I think it's kind of a good kind of almost retirement next step story of everyone moving on in their lives.
Yeah. You make a really good point.
So that's just, I mean, everyone has their opinion, and then you have, of course, we know that Alex is going to be in the Armageddon crossover on Flash, but then it's just simple as writing this: the world's in trouble, Barry needs help. She picks it back up and goes to help. like she's not completely done, but it's not her 9 to 5 anymore. So, but, we'll see. And of course, the end of the episode, William does a on-camera interview with Kara or with Supergirl, and gets Andrea her Super Friends angle. So there you have it.
Yeah. And I do like how throughout the episode they don't like really giving interviews, and stuff like that. And then in the end they're like, well, if, and I like that it came from William, that if Kara giving interviews or if Supergirl giving interviews and talking about it were to make people listen and shed light onto these things that are actually happening, that it would be that it's a good thing,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Because we haven't gotten enough of Kara's speeches,
right,
in
exactly.
6 seasons.
But like you said, that came from William is what made it important, and he's right. He's like, Andrea is saying it like, oh, we need this, but he's like, the story, the message, and if it's coming from Supergirl, can help because people listen.
Yeah. So yeah, it was really good.
And Kara still hasn't wrote the story for Andrea on the Phantom Menaces. Menaces?
I guess I guess we'll have to go with the Phantom Menace and risk being sued.
She's like, Kara, why didn't you write this story? Because, Andrea, I don't write about the Phantom. The guy in the all purple running around. Phantom.
The Phantom.
All the other...
Hey, Billy Zane was pretty good in that movie, man.
It's a fun... Hey, I like that movie. I went back and watched it with the kids. It's still a fun. It's just on the border of campiness. I mean, the villain is more campy, but Billy Zane plays in that perfect blend of straight and fun. It's just a good kind of pulp adventure film. And that's what I say. It's more adventure than like action. It's great for the kids. They enjoyed it. And it's I recommend it. It's
oh,
fun.
Absolutely. You should see it. You should absolutely see it at least once.
Slam evil. I still have my Phantom Skull ring from 7-Eleven, man.
Ooh, excellent.
I'll take a picture and send it to you.
Okay.
But yeah, that was this episode. I enjoyed it. It feels more like a Supergirl episode. Like I feel like we're back in the swing of things. We're going forward, and this was episode 9. So even after the break, it's still, it's not halfway through the season yet.
Well, I think Supergirl kind of jumping in before it was meant to air played a factor, along with COVID, obviously. So the closed sets and everything that they did. Now they've gotten full time for production of these episodes. We get to see the full story starting to unfold, and I mean, it's all as heavy-handed as before, but we all know that Supergirl is straight in your face with its message. But yeah, it feels like good classic Supergirl.
It does, and I look forward to it. It's funny because it's been around for so long, but watching it and everything is like, it's Supergirl again. It gets back to like this old feeling of like comfort, like comfort food, Supergirl. There she is. Kind of like when I watch The Flash, The Flash there. He has The Flash has been in the background for a long time, in my life. And 7 seasons, man. Like, Flash started before Solomon was born. So it's kind of just been there for this ride, and I love it. Like, I plan on, it was funny that originally I was doing like rewatches over the summers and stuff, but how everything's happened, going back and rewatching the earlier seasons of Flash. Like, I just started rewatching season 3. I'm halfway through it. And I think I'm going to try to rewatch Krypton and the rest of seasons 3, 4, and 5 of Flash. But, watching season 1 and 2 of Flash again, such good fun.
Nice. I'm looking forward to rewatching The Flash. I'll eventually rewatch Supergirl in the near future after it's over.
My goal is to revisit is for when the show ends, and maybe we're looking at like a January episode. Is that once the final episode airs, we're going to go and we're going to rewatch the entire series of, just for those, Selah, I can fix it, baby. Just for those listening, Selah's toy broke and she brought it in and she's crying. And you know how it is, you're a dad. Dads can fix everything. I got this, Selah. Don't worry, okay? I'll fix it. For everyone out there wondering, I did fix Selah's toy. Some glue, a rubber band, some rest. It got fixed, and she's happy. Now back to the show. So basically, once the show's ended, it ends in November. We know that now. I think it'd be kind of cool to just go back and rewatch the first season completely and just kind of look at where the show started, reflect on how it ended, and just all the ups and downs, and, what we thought the show was or going to be, and what it ended up being in the end,
Yeah.
Especially that tonality of just being on CBS compared to how the show had its soft reboot and, on what do you call it, on the CW, and how that affected the show. And we'll kind of reflect on that.
Right. How it went to the show with a message.
Which is nothing wrong with that, but sometimes I think it was there's like being kind of subtle, and there's being like beating you over the head with it.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes this show has been back and forth on that. So.
Just a tad. But they always let you know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
That was not a problem.
All right, so that wraps that up. And I think one thing we kind of missed on our news here is this coming Tuesday, Zack Snyder's Justice League will be released on home video in the States. I'm curious if I've heard that it doesn't have a digital copy attached to it. For digital, you still have to watch through HBO Max. I don't even know if it has combo copies, because that was one thing I was waiting to see if I could buy the Blu-ray and DVD combo. I already own the 4K through the UK. Thank you, UK, for being awesome. James owns the Blu-ray through the UK because both of us were like, we're not taking our chances. I plan on buying a regular Blu-ray copy. 1, just to have a backup. 2, to have a DVD copy. Because I like to, play around editing footage and making little videos and stuff, and it's easier to rip from a DVD copy.
I mean, I plan on buying the 4K copy so that when I finally do upgrade, the first movie I'm going to watch in 4K be Zack Snyder's Justice League. A nice huge TV and a nice 4K player.
And, we just started a GoFundMe page for James needs a 300-inch screen television to watch Zack Snyder's Justice League on. You can go download and support that, please. Basically James's wall of his room will just turn on.
Yeah.
It's immersive. You can actually stand next to the characters and pretend like you are the character fighting Steppenwolf. It's a good time. I tried it out. I'm the Atlantean soldier that he throws against the rock that busts his head open. That's you'll see me there.
Yeah, sorry about that, Tyler. Tyler was bleeding a little bit.
It was intense. I was like, dang, James, this is a real TV. But that's going to do us from here. We're glad Supergirl's back. Lots of great things coming from the podcast in the future. Stay tuned. Some new stuff, some fresh stuff, and keep on listening to the Krypton Report.
Look up in the sky.
The Krypton Report is part of the Southgate Media Group network of podcasts. If you have an interest, check out Southgate Media Group to see if your podcast is there. I bet it is. At the Southgate Media Group website, you can sign up for our newsletter. You'll get info on all the shows, and you can find what you want. You'll also find links to our sponsors, where you can get great products and support the podcast. Also, our book, Pod Life, Podcasting Stories. It's a great book. Check it out. It's nice to hear where people come from and why they do what they do.